Let's get it. Three, two. Welcome back, conscious monkeys, to a catch up with Clayton episode. Today is January 26th, and we've been making moves. We've been making fucking moves. So, hope you're ready for this. We go over in this episode merchandise, updates on merchandise, my song. I went bouldering this week. We get in the book club, which is already amazing, and yeah, so without further ado, let's jump into it. Update on the merchandise. I visited a studio here in Pittsburgh. I'll give them a quick shout out. It's called Red Fish Bowl. And if you've been listening, shout out to a guest or a, excuse me, a conscious monkey who introduced me to this studio in Pittsburgh. If you were listening to another episode earlier, his name's Jack M. Again, just going to keep it vague because I don't know what the whole deal is. Just giving him a quick shout out. And I talked to an artist there, talked to a guy by the name of Nate, and super dope guy. Helped me out, figure out the style I was looking for the whole Conscious Monkey protocol. And yeah, I'm actually really excited because he introduced me to another guy, and I met with him yesterday. Super good vibe. He was super animated about the experience and how to do it. So I'm going to be in discussions with him over the next 2 to 3 weeks, figuring out how we can make the best um, product for you conscious monkeys. I really want to embody the vibe of this podcast and get it out to you guys. And speaking of the vibe of this podcast, uh, I need to get a song, and that was the alarm to tell me I needed to record this. So we're on the same page. Regardless, the song's coming out. He lives out in San Diego, and he had just a super dope gig at one of the biggest nightclubs in San Diego. So I want to give a huge shout out to him that he's making waves. If you're in San Diego and you follow my Instagram, you know who it is. But if you don't, and this is your only thing, totally cool. I want to keep it a little bit like ambiguous for now, but he's got super dope music, so I'm definitely going to be promoting him more. Just want to build some of that intrigue. I want to get you guys like, oh, who is it? um, let's see. Moving along, I'm super happy. He was like, dude, I got you. But he had this huge thing at night at a big nightclub in San Diego, so I wanted to just give that space. Sorry, I'm super energized. I got to jujitsu this morning, and when I go to jujitsu, like the mind starts racing at like a million miles an hour. And so I'm not sure if you can tell, but I'm a little bit more animated today. It's always fun. It's always great. I guess it changes the vibe a little bit now that I'm realizing it. But geez, I'm getting off on a tangent. But speaking of jujitsu, I also went bouldering again this weekend, and there are so many parallel things where you'll see a little kid who has been doing bouldering or jujitsu. You could really do it the same way, and they'll do something that you have never been able to do, even though you've been doing it for just like 2 weeks. But it's that ego check. It's that just because you're older and wiser in some realms, it's like there's always going to be someone else in a new realm that you're diving into where you're not the best. And I think that makes it really difficult. And from a mental and psychological perspective, that makes it difficult for us to want to try new things. We don't want to suck at new things. We always are wanting to be the best at something. And hell, I get it. It protects our ego, right? Like it's a way of our mind protecting us. Yeah. From it's a way our ego protects us from the evil that's out there or our inability to want to be lesser. I see this in jujitsu all the time, and you can feel it. When someone starts rolling with their ego, it shows. So just found that super interesting that parallel again, showing its head between bouldering and jujitsu. I opened up a blister on my hand, created and blistered in one day. It's so wild, but super fun too. Like you have to learn your body control, and this is another parallel with jujitsu, is you got to learn your weight control in your body and like where it's positioned and how you make these certain grips and all this stuff. So it's really fascinating in those regards. Um, yeah, so that was my bouldering experience again. Definitely got to go back soon, ASAP Rocky. Uh, with that being said, book club. Book club, look up, book club, blah, 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 book club. Say book club 5 times fast. I don't know if you can do it. Book club, book club, book club, book club. Okay, that wasn't too bad. I finished Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Absolutely incredible. I mean, the man is basically combining the world of spirituality and the world of science, which on my drive home, I kind of realized like it's really the parallels within our brain. It really feels like science is the more masculine of things, and which would be like the analytical side of your brain, versus the world of spirituality, which is more of that feminine or creative side of your brain, where it's this world of unknowns. And I'm telling you, this is like the merge point, guys. Like we're hitting it. The quantum physics is hitting that point of merging the conscious and subconscious mind, of the masculine mind and the feminine mind. And I mean, you don't believe me? Go read this book for yourself. I also put together the meditation that he does at the end of the book. I put it together into a YouTube video, which I'll link down below. I'll need to make a note to link below. Um, Link below. So whenever you click on this thing, you want to make sure that you take into it some emotion that you've been feeling. I do a little intro at the beginning, but make sure you're taking in some sort of emotion that you've been feeling throughout your days, or something you want to rewrite, something that has been holding you back. Whether it's, something like scarcity or fear or guilt or something like that. I want you to take in that the thought of that emotion. So that's like your only precursor to this. Other than that, you can just go into it and listen to it and just take it in for what it is. Now, of course, I think reading the book helps. I don't believe that is an absolute necessity, because I personally, pat myself on the back, do such a great job of walking you through it and trying to make you believe or fall into this realm. I don't want to make you believe, but I want you to fall into this realm of understanding. With that being said, I believe that it's a great piece to have read the book, and now I'm repeating myself. um, oh, and there is a little bit of a mess up. I do mess up at the beginning of it. There's like box press at the beginning, and I accidentally tell you to kind of come down. What do I say? I tell you to breathe out at one point when you should be, or I tell you to breathe in. What do I tell you? I tell you to breathe out when you should be breathing in. So just something to be aware of. But it's at the beginning. Just trust your instincts on it. I tried replacing it on YouTube, but they made it difficult, and I was just like, screw this. Long story short, check it out because it is dope. Big fan. Highly recommend it. Moving on, I am now starting to read How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. My guest for episode 21, which hasn't been released yet, but when it is released, my guest actually talks about that book, and it sounded like it resonated in that conversation. And I was like, all right, let's just do it. Um, it seems like it kind of goes into the history. I've only read the introduction, and it seems like it goes into the history of psychedelics and how psychedelics are bridging that gap between consciousness and modern science. And it's so funny because I was reading Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and it was super similar to Joe Dispenza's other book, which is Becoming Supernatural. And I was like, I kind of want to dive into this more and find someone else's perspective on this whole world. And of course, lo and behold, the next day, call it manifestation, call it, coincidence, whatever you want to call it. I interviewed this girl, and I want to keep it a little bit vague so aren't sure yet. Build that suspense. Dun, dun, dun. So we get into the world of psychedelics, or geez, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. We talk about the book. I'm starting to read it. That's the next book on our agenda is How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan, which is actually a very similar title to Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. So it's all working out just by a different person, which is super dope. Um, you know, Other than that, I had an incredible week. I guess even with the podcast coming up, had some great initial meet and greets with amazing people in the spirituality and manifestation communities. Frankly, some big names, and I'm super appreciative and grateful that they want to come on this podcast and hopefully grow the brand, grow the awareness of it. I'm going to be interviewing a lot of them within the next week. I do have an interview later today, so I do want to take some rest and some me time beforehand to kind of just calm my mind because as you can hear, I am very energized. And this is what jujitsu does: is it gets your mind going at a million miles an hour. But I love it. Geez, that was only 10 minutes. I feel like I really jammed in a lot of information there. You might have to listen to that at half speed. But with that being said, thank you so much, Conscious Monkeys, for listening. Um, oh, I didn't even get into the cool part about the meditation. This is why you should be doing that meditation before bed, especially. It talks about how, kind of reverting back to the book club now. It talks about how like you lower your brain waves and get into this like lower frequency, essentially, like these delta brain waves. And what it does is it rewrites your subconscious. Well, what I have found is when I do that before bed, I have only needed like, what would it have been? I went 11, only needed like 6 hours of sleep. And there were times I was getting like 8 hours, and it felt like you know, a lot. Like it felt like not enough, not a lot. It felt like it wasn't enough. And now, whenever I do this meditation before bed, it's like a 40-minute meditation, which sounds like a lot, but it goes fast. When I do this and I take it into my bed and go to sleep on it, I just feel so at peace with myself. I have incredible dreams, like very long, very very succinct dreams. And maybe I need to start creating a weekly podcast about my dreams. I remember I did that at one point, but I guess it kind of fell to the wayside. Regardless, the dreams have been insane and so complex and long and whew, long stuff. So, long story short, it is anecdotal, but I have found that doing that meditation that I'm going to link in the description below has profound impacts on your sleep, and therefore profound impacts on your next day, and therefore profound impacts on your entire life. So I'm going to leave that with you as an extra little juice to get you to try it out. Just try it one day, try it one night, and see how your sleep goes, see how your next day goes, see how your life completely changes from it. But with that being said, thank you, Conscious Monkeys, for listening to me in my energized state of being and just kind of rambling, it feels like. But I hope that was like, coherent. I hope you learned something. And whew, wow, just take a second for yourself sometimes. With that being said, Conscious Monkeys, thank you for listening. So many beautiful things ahead. I wish you all a beautiful week ahead. And let's continue to grow together.